Welcome to United Irvine podcast, and I am delighted to have with me Morag Cooper and Shirley Bothwell. Welcome.
Thank
now,
you.
You'll be experts at this, I'm sure. You know, done this plenty of times before.
No, never.
So you're feeling a wee bit...
A new experience.
A new experience, brand new. It's great to have you. And we're reflecting on the past. We're thinking about the present and looking towards the future in terms of United Irvine. And tell us about the story of Bourtry Hill Relief Church, when it started and how you came to be involved, Morag, and then you came and joined in, Shirley. Tell us.
Going back a long time, we're going back to 1976. My dad was the first minister up there.
What was his name again?
The Reverend Robert Leslie.
Mm-hmm.
Before Dad came to the church, it had been agreed that the Relief Church down on West Road was to be a transportation church up to the new scheme. So Bourtry Hill was just really developing at that point. So we came in June 1976, and on September 1976, the foundation stone was laid, and that was dedicated by the moderator of the Presbytery at that time, and that was Thomas Jarvie. So to begin with, we had like the two services, one still in West Road, and we started off in Terlan's school, and with services there. So that was how it started back then.
So that was 50 years ago?
50 years ago.
Yeah,
yes.
And it's just whizzed in.
It absolutely whizzed in, yes. So Bourtry Hill was new at that time. I think it celebrated its 50th year last year. So houses were just developing. So housing estate was just developing. So there was a lot of young families moving into the area. I think it was known as Nappy Valley, to be honest. It was. So many young families. So again, back then, all those years ago, that was a blending of two congregations. We had a lot of members that transferred from West Road. Again, some didn't, but a lot of transferred from West Road. And then you had the new people moving into the area who came from various different churches. So that was a blending into one congregation.
And the West Road Sanctuary was where the Emmanuel Christian Centre is now, and the
right,
British
yes.
Legion.
That's right.
Just next to where Muir Relief is now. Yeah.
Yes. So that at that time, there was lots of families joining the church. Dad very much would not turn MD away, so we had so many baptisms. In fact, we have 6 at a time, and which then resulted in we had a huge Sunday school. We had the beginners department, the primary department, and the senior department, and the Bible class. And by the time I was leading the primary department in the 80s, and that's primary 1, primary 2, and primary 3, we had 75 children in that one section.
Yeah, so things were booming, really.
Things were booming.
And where did Shirley come into this?
Well, I was one of the new families.
Yes.
My husband was a key worker, they called it, so he got a chance of a house up in Bourtry Hill. So I had one child, I was just expecting another one, and I came from Kilwinning, God's own country. And I was a member of the Congregational Church in Kilwinning. And I started there when I was about 12 or 13 because my friends were going. My father had taken us to the Mansfield. He was a staunch member of the Mansfield Church. He'd gone there, and so had his parents. And I don't have many memories of the Mansfield Church. I just remember it was a beautiful big church, and it was very well decked out. I'd never been in a church before, obviously. I think I was about 5 when I started. But then the transformation, when I went to the congregational, I asked my father if I could change because my friends were going, so went there. And the minister at the time was Reverend Charlie Hill, and he was an ex-commando. He was a lovely wee guy, very small build. I can't imagine him a commando, but he was. And he took me under his wing. As soon as I got in, he put me into the Sunday school when I was 14, I had to help with the infants in the Sunday school. I had a baby sister at the time, a toddler sister. So, and I never left, and I just learned so much there. But then, sadly, I had to move. I couldn't stay any longer. It wasn't practical. So I came up to the Relief, and to be honest, I didn't like it. It was totally different from the wee church that I was in. It was a wee family church. Everybody knew everybody. I realised it was the same at the Relief. Everybody knew everybody. But I didn't know anybody, and they didn't know me. And I did not like it. But I went because I wanted a faith journey. So I decided that I had to embrace it, and I had to join clubs and things, and that would be the way that I would learn. So we had a prolific badminton club, and somebody asked me if I wanted to join, and I joined that, and it was a lifeline for me because it got me knowing people, could put names to faces, befriended them all, a really happy bunch, great badminton players, by the way, and that got me in. But then I wanted to deepen my faith. That was helping me with relationships, but I wanted to deepen my faith. I wanted to be part of it. And fortunately, Robbie Hamilton at the time, he was the minister at the time, he was looking for volunteer readers. Now, I was not a public speaker at all, but I just felt as if I had got a message to say, you volunteer for that, volunteer for the reading. The first one I did was the day that Princess Diana had died. That was my very first reading, so I was shaking. It's a wonder you didn't hear my knees knocking in Greenock. And I did it, and I thought, well, I can only get better. And I loved doing readings. I read them, I researched them, I read them and tried to do my best, and I felt that was the start. And then from then on, folk just tapped you on the shoulder and asked you, would you join the board? And you think, oh no, I can't do that. I don't have the knowledge, the wisdom. I don't know anything about finances or structure of buildings and things. But you learn, and I was happy to be a board member. And then it followed on from there. I was in the Ways and Means, I think it was, in the board, which was to try and get church money, get them up money for church. And to be frank, I get fed up with coffee mornings. I get fed up standing at the door Sunday morning selling coffee morning tickets. So I went to Robbie and I said, how do you fancy a pantomime? And he said, oh yes, I do. There's one stipulation.
No, you don't.
I want to. No, he said, oh yes, I do. And he said, there's one stipulation. I want to be one of the Ugly Sisters. It was called Tales of Urella, Cinderella. And so it started, managed to get people in the hall, told them what was going on, and surprisingly they were all up for it. I only had one refusal. One woman I thought should be great. She was a beautiful singer. She didn't want to do it, but everybody else came on board. And that was when I learned, you don't need to be a great organiser, you just need to get people together. And the pantomime was a rip-roaring success.
Very good,
Rip-roaring success. We had men dressed up as the Spice Girls, a church officer with fishnet tights. It was absolutely wonderful. I couldn't believe how everybody in the church, and I was just so proud of everybody in the church coming together. People said it was better than the Gaiety. And it was. And these were just people, they're sitting in the church with their stern Church of Scotland faces on a Sunday, and then you see them, dressed up as Ugly Sisters and fishnet tights and dancing. But one of the guys just couldn't do his there was a wee programme, a wee scene set at the Banker. One of them couldn't do his scenes for laughing. He just giggled all the way through it. And then they shut the curtains and that was it. So that was a great blending. It was a great feeling of just relationships working together. It was great. And then not long after that, I was asked to be an elder by Robbie just before he left. And that was a wonderful experience. Again, you think, oh no, I don't know if I can be an elder. But I'm pretty sure everybody thinks like that. But you just grow into it. You grow into it, and you grow in faith. And it was one of the best days of my life. The day I became an elder and I was ordained.
Brilliant.
I loved it.
What about your journey of faith? You clearly were brought up in the church family,
Yes.
with your parents and with your dad being minister, and then he would. How many years was he minister at Relief?
In total, he was 5 years as a minister. He went into ministry late in life.
Yes.
So, yes, went to church. We stayed, moved from Glasgow when I was 7. We went to Prestwick, so I went to the Sunday school, Prestwick South Church. In fact, one of your members in Fullerton was my Sunday school teacher in Prestwick South.
Was that Sheila McQuaker, was it?
Sheila
My
McQuaker,
goodness,
yes.
yes.
So then Dad studied for the ministry, so this was his first ministry and only ministry. So yes, I've always been involved in church life, and I was a Sunday school teacher. I helped in Prestwick South as a teenager, Sunday school teacher here, even helped the Boys Brigade. I've always been, I think I've done every job in the church that you can think of.
You've been so faithful and fruitful, and in time you became an elder and session clerk.
Yes, history was made back in 1993. We had the first female elders ordained in the Relief Church, and then around about 2001, around about that anyway, I became the session clerk. So I was a clerk to the board for many years beforehand, and then session clerk for too long to remember now, but 20 odd years. So
Morag was always the go-to person.
Yes.
If ever you needed an answer to a question, Morag knew it.
Yes, I'm sure.
But I was also the person people hated me coming up to them because they always knew I was going to ask them to do something.
What's he going to ask me to do?
Yes. So, but that was a strange thing as well, because it's as if obviously everything's planned. Dad died. Dad worked very closely with Father Feeney in St John Ogilvy's, which is just adjacent to the church at Butcher Hill. Dad died, Father Feeney died, and then Rod Swanson, the Baptist minister, all died. So all the people who had laid the foundations for faith up in Butcher Hill. In fact, that was one of the high days, and one of the low days was the 2nd of August in 81. The BBC Scotland came to do a recording of the church service up the road. And then part of that was to show faith, but also to show how closeness we were with working with the chapel
Just
across
next
the
to
road.
the Roman Catholic chapel.
Yeah, so that was everything went well, a very good service, but unfortunately, after that service, Dad collapsed and died that day.
Oh, my.
So we still have the BBC recording, and we still have a lovely letter from the BBC Radio Scotland. But again, that was just to show we did work really well with the chapel next door. The same way we do down at West Road with St Mary's. We have lots of joint services, Christmas carol services, and the use of each other's halls and each equipment tables, if you needed extra tables and things for fairs. So that was a blessing that day.
Yes.
Mixed emotions.
Of course, my goodness, and
Yeah.
and it means that this journey of churches together in Irvine is it's charged with these emotional memories, isn't it?
Yes.
With your dad in particular, and I hadn't appreciated that the priest and Reverend Swanson, that's right, had died round about the same time. Oh my goodness. And then we journey, to these recent days when we've had churches linking and merging, and that's one of the things I have really admired about both of you is the way you've given yourselves to service. You've given yourselves to serving Christ yourself. Morag as session clerk at Muir Relief. in the union there, and still continuing as a legacy session clerk in the leadership team. And Shirley, your involvement as worship leader, going round the congregations and serving,
Yes.
so faithfully and fruitfully, and that's to be admired. But there must be, and I know there's in the midst of this journey, there's lament as well, there's sorrow, there's some grief too. Tell us a wee bit about that.
Obviously, you can worship anywhere, but there is the loss of your own family, church family, your own. You make a new family, but there's that loss there. There's a loss of belonging to a particular place, just a naturalness. You've got to go out and forge new relationships. So it's
takes you out your comfort zone very much so.
Yes. But I think you have to get involved in the new place to become part of it, to become part of the family. There's no point just going and sitting in the pew, otherwise you're missing out on an awful lot of Christian fellowship. It's difficult. It's been easier in this time because we have moved down to West Road, but knew lots of things were still happening up the road. We still had the mission centre, and we still have a fantastic boys' brigade, over 100. Look at scouts. Because if you look back to the Relief Church as it was, that church was open every day in the past. We had Girls' Brigade on the Monday, we had Men's Felt on the Tuesday, the Guild over 50s, Scouts, Boys' Brigade, the Badminton Club. It was always being used, so it's sad now to think that just the doors are going to come down on it and it won't be used, because it was a community, because it was as well, it had a social life as well. With Ways and Means did have to raise money, but it also had like dances, social dances, so people would mix and
so it was a aiding community and as well as church family.
Yes.
Aye. And what about yourself, Shirley, in terms of this journey that we're on?
Yeah, well, I think I've been fortunate. I've been fortunate as a worship leader because when we had our union service in May 21, I think it was the Reverend Stuart Burse who had the last service on the Sunday. It was very, very sad.
This is when Relief was merging with Muir.
With Muir, yes. And that was our last Sunday service on, I think it was something like the 13th of May, 21. And that was a very sad day. And like Morag said, you think you're going to another church, how welcome will that make you feel? You're worried about that as well. But I have to say, that Muir Church have welcomed all of us. They've welcomed all of us as we hoped, and it's just been very good. But I think I'm fortunate that I get out and about. I get to Dreghorn, I get to Girdle Toll, and so that has helped the transition for me, and plus the welcoming at all the churches, But it's been very sad because we're no spring chickens, and we've had long memories of happy times at the Relief Church in Bourtrie Hill.
And you do have that sadness because you do lose a lot of church members who are not, who don't want to go, but other ones who are not fit to travel. So through ill health or through age, so you do lose a lot of people, which is sad.
And there are artefacts as well, aren't there? There's things like the communion tables and
there's a lot of things in churches that are dedicated to people. Communion table is dedicated to my dad. The baptismal font is dedicated to a previous elder, Harry Bissett. There's a stained glass window dedicated to a former elder, Robert Mackey. The elders' chairs were bought from a legacy left by an elder, William Smith. So there's lots of things that you are leaving behind that you've got special memories for the people there.
We had an old member. She was 90 a couple of months ago. She played the piano at the Sunday school for years. Sadly, her sight's going now. and she hasn't been able to get back for a while. But for her 90th birthday, we managed to get, she was a guild member, and she sat sewing one of the banners, and she wondered what would happen to these banners when the church closed its doors. So as a surprise, we managed to get one down. We climbed up the ladder and we managed to get it down with a snooker cue, and we unhooked it, we got it down. I took it and sponged it all because it was a bit... Fusty, as you say. That's a good Scottish word, Morag. It was a bit fusty. And I hung it out in my rope and got it nice and fresh for her. And we took it down. We took it down to her birthday celebration at her daughter-in-law's house. And she was delighted, absolutely delighted. She got photographs taken with it. So that was a really nice, I felt really good about it. I felt really good that we'd done that for her. It was a really nice gesture. She asked for it, we found it, and we got her it. So it was nice. It's great. Really nice.
And it is heartbreaking to be releasing buildings that and these artefacts, some of them that hopefully we can find good homes for, but nonetheless, just the grief and the pain of letting go of the spaces, these sacred spaces, these special spaces, and the church family at Muir Relief. I know exactly what you're talking about when you talk about a warmth. There is a warmth, and it's always a good sign when people are staying on for a cup afterwards. Yep. That's always a good sign. Yep. And people want to do that, and they do that, and there's a good chinwag afterwards and catching up, and it encourages friendship and fellowship. And I know there's other things that have been going on.
That's something we brought down from Relief. I started that tea coffee because I didn't really do it there, but it was a way to try and get different people to get to know each other, relax with a cup of tea afterwards, We used to have a rota up in Relief, which was my intention down at West Road, but it's ended up being two ladies doing it all the time. So.
Oh, bless them. Right.
They don't seem to mind.
They're happy to do it.
They're quite happy to do it, along with other things. You always find if you want a job done, ask a busy person.
Yes. And there is the unfortunate hemorrhaging of people and the church family as we journey into a new phase, and we're in this transition where in time we'll be closing the doors at Muir Relief, and the hope and prayer is that people will go somewhere. That's the most important thing, isn't it? That we're still a part of a wider family of God. And hopefully that a good number will stay with United Irvine, because in terms of the witness and the worship of God's people in Irvine, it's important that we try to set things up for the future generations, isn't it?
Yes.
And what's the feeling among folk? I know that there are folk that are quite angry about it, but is there a willingness? Is there a readiness to journey forward, do you think?
I think for some people there are, but others are sticking to their guns, and when their church closes, they'll not be in another church. But hopefully they're in the minority. Hopefully people will realise. I mean, I remember when I was unwell with a serious disease, and I didn't think I would get back to a church. I was off ill for quite a while. And then I recovered, and then I took a bad turn again. And I thought I wouldn't get back to church for a while after it. And you kind of lose a bit of something when you're not going to church on a Sunday. You pretend that you can sit and watch things online and it's working, but it doesn't really. It doesn't really. You need to be in
fellowship.
You need to be in with other people. And I hadn't gone in January, a whole of January. I took time off to recover. And it was snowing this day. It was a Friday, and I thought, I have to make my mind up. Am I going back to the church, or am I just going to drift away? And this wasn't too long ago. And I went out in the snow. It was really heavy snow one Friday afternoon. And I passed my old church building, and there was a sign up, and I think it came from Amos, to say, how can I not proclaim the word of the Lord? Something along those lines. You'll probably know it. How can I not proclaim God's word? And I came back home and I sat down and I fell asleep. And I was walking by the phone, and it was Barbara Urquhart, who was the interim moderator at Girdle Toll. And she said, I wonder if you could do me a real favour. I'm looking for somebody to take the service on Sunday. And I said, do you know, Barbara, you are the messenger from God. You've made my mind up, and the answer is yes, I'll come. And I never looked back after that. Never looked back. Yes. So I knew I had to come. And I'm pretty sure most of the congregation, if they are able, will decide, not necessarily on locality, they might go somewhere else. I know people are coming from one end of the town to Dreghorn to go. One end of one town to the other end of another town. So I hope they do, but sadly we will lose. Sadly we will lose people along the way.
Yes, there's some people who just don't like change, and then there's other people who, from practical reasons, maybe can't get up to either Girdle Toll, or they can't get down to Fullerton. You've got to rely on buses. It's not very practical. And I know, because I thought at one point when we were moving down to West Road, you know, my ideal world, oh yes, we'll get this community bus, like dial a bus and take people down, but not everybody's fit to go on a bus and things, you know, and you can try and get as many car lifts as well, but sometimes it's not always practical. But hopefully people once they got over the initial sadness, anger. The main thing is people worship.
Yes.
Whether it's still in Irvine or whether it's elsewhere, I just don't like when people just fall away.
Yes. Yeah, continue with Christ, and community is so important, as you're saying. Yeah, Shirley, that we need people. We need brothers and sisters to encourage us, to build us up, to challenge us and stretch us. And that's a big part of growing up in Christ, isn't it? Growing up into our baptism, and one of the challenges, huge challenges for us, is the witnessing and reaching out and connecting with people and helping people come to faith, isn't it?
It is.
And we must be praying into that, and very easily we shrink into ourselves, and it's a huge challenge to open up and see that there's people beyond our walls, isn't it? Yeah. Especially
back in the day when Morag talked about the amount of bodies that were in the Relief Church. I mean, I was astounded, because going back to Colwinning, the Congregational Church, just a small church, I think it held about 60 or something, 60 or 80, not much. But it looked busy because it was small. But when you went up to the Relief, the sanctuary was full. The doors had been
It was a church extension, so you had the sanctuary, and then you pulled back partitions, and then you had...
And the church hall was full. Church hall was full as well. And inevitably you get boys coming in from the youth organisations, the Boys Brigade usually. They would come in a wee bit late when the service had started. The elders had to go into the stage and bring chairs to the back of the hall to fit the boys in. I mean, how great is that?
Yes.
Another good thing was we had organisation concerts. So, like the young wives, the Sunday school leaders, the Scouts, the Boys Brigade, all took a turn and had we put on this concert, and that also brought in the families to come and see. So again, the hall was full those days as well. I mean, I remember the days of a nightmare, really, but in a good way. 3 double-decker buses for Sunday school trips.
Brilliant, yes.
Down to Girvan and Rooking Glen and places like that. You know, so. And
for the church to grow in the future, as in the present, it's so important that our older people, who are the majority of our congregations, are committed to Christ and committed to growing the people of God, and committed to reaching out and encouraging the reaching out. I mean, some of us maybe can't do it anymore, but we can pray, can't we? We can be encouraging, we can be positive, and it's that sort of spirit that I see in yourselves, which I thoroughly admire and appreciate. That's so important, that because we're wanting to set things up, aren't we, for the future generations, that there will be witness and worship here in Irvine, in United Irvine Church and other congregations in the area.
I did hear, I think, on television yesterday, somebody say the children are not the future of the church. The children are still the presence of the church,
right. Yeah,
and we have to have the children involved. And we have to. It's just trying to get families involved in the church life. It's important.
And certainly there are indications that younger people are yearning for and looking for significance and purpose and peace. And it is for us to be available and accessible and relatable as we look to connect and encourage.
I think the Mission Pioneer has done a great job.
Yes, and crossing together.
It's busy up there. There's a bit going on up in the mission centre, which is encouraging.
Yes,
but it's whether they can take the next step.
Yes, the transition to different locations. We pray that will go well. And that it will continue to thrive. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Shirley, Morag, you're stars, absolute stars, and you're a great blessing and encouragement to me and to United Irvine Church. Bless you. Bless you. And thanks for tuning in, folks. Subscribe, and why not look at the previous podcasts that we've had, and let's journey together.